try to learn you how to use and how to repair these kind of inverters. One of the points about these inverters is this: these kind of inverters are not as they labeled. They are fake labeled actually, and for example this one, as you can see that, it is not a 1500 watts power inverter. It's just a 400 one. It can handle 4 100 single and simple bulbs, not more than that. So the first point you should know is this: never apply more than 400 watts to these kind of inverters. Actually, Chinese are fake labeling these kind of inverters. I don't know the reason. Maybe they are trying to earn more money, by the way, but they are not 1500 watt power. So let's get back to other points about these inverters. The other point is this: never use a car battery for these inverters. If you use a car battery for these kind of inverters, you should know that you should unplug the battery from the car correctly. Otherwise, if you start the engine of the car, obviously these kind of inverters will explode, especially the input transistors, and their dampers will explode, and there's no way to save them. So unplug the car battery pretty well and then use the car battery for these inverters. The third point about these inverters is this: you should never connect capacitor loads for these inverters. Otherwise, even if it's a low power, very low power consumer like refrigerator protectors or stair timers or some kind of shaving machines, some kind of flashlight batteries, flashlight chargers, and so on, they are not suitable for these inverters, and they can cause explosion over the transistors because they actually have a inducing voltage and reverse voltage applied to the inputs of these kind of inverters, and that can cause immediate explosion for the transistors of these kind of inverters. The first point I should suggest about these inverters, it's keeping them cool. I warn about the temperature of these inverters. They should not be installed in a warm place. They should be keep pretty cool and in a cold weather actually. They work far better in such a situation. The other point I should suggest, it's about the loads that you may apply to these kind of inverters. For example, the engines and electromotors that they have capacitors inside, they are not suitable for these kind of inverters. And if you apply one of that kind of electromotors to these inverters, obviously this will explode. They cannot handle capacitor electromotors. Every kind of capacitor in output of these inverters can explode these inverters. Be careful about that. The fifth point I should suggest, never apply and plug long wires to the output of these kind of inverters. The maximum length of wire connected to these inverters, it should be something like 2 meter or 4 meter, not more than that. Otherwise, it can cause problems and it can interfere with other consumers and cause inverter burns. So I recommend strongly, and keep the output wires pretty short. The other point I should suggest, do not use cables in the output of these kind of inverters. When you have two wires inside a actually plastic materials melted and pretty near to each other, obviously they are creating a capacity in a long distance. So it's dangerous and it can cause problems and cause inverter explosion. So I recommend to use separated wires for these two output of these inverters. Not more than 4 meters, not more than 5 meters. If you use more wires over there, obviously you will miss the inverter. Never connect unknown loads to output of your inverter. Unknown loads can have a short circuit inside, so they can seriously damage your inverter. The important point about these inverters, you should never drop these inverters down. If you drop down on the ground, even if it's a height like 40 centimeters, like 2 feet, 1 feet, these kind of inverters are very sensitive about strokes. Be careful. If that dropped from your hand, you should check it out and do not turn it on. And before you turn it on and apply loads to output of these kind of inverters, it should be checked by a repairman. The other important issue about these inverters is the body of these inverters. Metal body of these inverters should never connect to other consumers like refrigerators, car body, or other actually machines inside house, outside house. Keep the body of these inverters pretty isolated from other consumers and other electric devices. They are not made for. It can interfere and it can get and insert a lot of noises inside this one and cause some problems. Actually, these kind of inverters are designed to work with solar cells, not batteries actually. If you're gonna use batteries for these kind of inverters, use a pretty independent battery and do not commonly use that battery for other consumers like car, amplifiers, other things like that. Applying reverse battery to the inverter, it can hurt it seriously. It will burn it down. So be careful about the polarity of these kind of inverters. They are not made to have a protection inside. Also, if you have a weak battery, never connect that to these kind of inverters. Otherwise, it can hurt your inverter because these kind of inverters are not designed to protect their cells from that kind of weak batteries. Of course, as you can see in the pictures over there, these inverters have some protection circuits inside, which is designed by LM324. But it is not enough. It's far better for us to care about our inverters. All the connections between battery and inverter should be pretty strong and not lame. Be careful. If you use lame connections, weak connections, oxidated connections, they are dangerous and they can hurt your inverter. Before connecting every kind of load to your inverter output, take sure if that load is working correctly and care about short circuits and outputs of these inverters. Otherwise, it can seriously hurt your inverter and will blow up the 4 transistors of inputs of that inverter. So, Be careful about the load you connect to the output of inverter, and try to check the load before with city electricities. These inverter fans needs to be checked every year. If you are using them and hearing some unexpected noise over their fans, try to contact with repairman. Maybe your inverter fan needs to be checked or needs to get some lubrications. Some electromotors, especially the electromotors used in water coolers, they have starting windings. It means they take a lot of current to start up. These kind of inverters are not suitable for that kind of electromotors, even if they have the same power. We don't recommend to connect a water cooling system and water-based cooler to these kind of inverters. Connecting that can hurt inverter because of the capacitor inside that kind of electromotors. Not only that, the starting current of that kind of electromotors is sometimes more than 25 amperes. It is very dangerous for these kind of inverters, and they cannot handle such a current. Loading inverters should be step by step. Sudden loads can damage inverters seriously. So if you're gonna load these inverters, you should care about that and add loads one after the other. They are designed for ohmic loads, like simple bulbs, tungsten bulbs actually, or CFL bulbs, not capacitor bulbs like LED bulbs. Some LED bulbs, they are using capacitor supply systems inside. So if you connect them to these inverters, it can hurt the inverter circuits and transistors. The other point I should suggest, it's about the metal splashes and metal things that should never splash into these kind of inverters. Small pieces of metals can seriously damage these inverters. If you are gonna use a angle grinder, be careful about them. They should not splash metals directly to these kind of inverters. Otherwise it can damage them very fast and very serious. Every kind of unexpected heat in the body of these kind of inverters, it can be a bad sign for these inverters. You should be careful about the temperature or body of these inverters. And we prefer to install inverter in a very cool place and care about the temperature of them. Not only loading these kind of inverters should be step by step and careful, also unloading should be in the same way. We should not unload these kind of inverters in a fast short time. I recommend that to be a step-by-step process. So for a longer life on these inverters, I recommend unloading various loads, one after the other. For example, if you connected 8 bulbs to output of these inverters, you should better to unload that bulbs one after the other. Or turn off the inverter by its special key, which is up on it. The other recommendation to get longer life on these kind of inverters is using a isolation transformer with iron core. If you use these kind of isolation transformers and output of these kind of inverters, you will get more long life. because they protect your inverter from the capacitor loads. So if you're gonna get longer life, it would be better to use isolation transformers. Isolation transformers with iron core. Obviously the transformer power should be the same, should be equal, and same power of inverter. For example, these kind of flashlights, they have a capacitor-based charging circuit. If you open them, they are not made to connect to these kind of inverters. They can easily hurt your inverter because they are using a capacitor-based charging circuit. So do not connect these kind of consumers to your inverter. The other important point about these inverters is this: keep them out of children's reach because they are dangerous for children. There is another point about these inverters I should suggest. Prevent every kind of liquid droplets to drop inside these kind of inverters because they are not protected. They are not waterproof, especially water. It can hurt these inverters seriously. If your inverter is burned, do not hesitate to call us. Call us. CCN Electronic can repair every kind of inverters for you. Welding inverters, emergency electricity inverters, solar cell inverters, and more. There is our number, you can call that. Also, if you're a repairman, do not hesitate to ask your questions on the comments or contact us. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe and push the like button. Thank you.